Hi, I'm Marisha.
And I'm Antoine. This is the Great Unknown Tour podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to help people create a roadmap to be able to step out on faith and embrace their adventure with God.
For 1 year with our 2 kids, we'll travel in an RV interviewing couples on trusting God in times of uncertainty.
Yes. And so, today's episode, what are we talking about this on today's episode?
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, so we have updates. We have updates for y'all. We'll give you progress about us moving out of the apartment. We'll talk to you about where we are with fundraising for the tour, funding for the tour, and fundraising for the RV. And most importantly, whether we're going to get evicted or not. We finally have a verdict after so long, waiting so long.
Yeah.
If you want to find us on social media, just go to our website, tgutour.com, and you'll find everything that you need to know. tgutour.com. If you're on Apple, leave a 5-star review about our podcast, about what God is teaching you or showing you, because it helps people find the podcast. And if you're on YouTube, just leave a comment about how God is having you to embrace your adventure with Him, or anything else that stuck out to you in this episode. And enjoy this episode. Peace. So here we are, episode 4.
Okay. It's 4, okay.
It's episode 4. I think it's 4. It might be 5 now. I think it's 4.
I don't know, I've lost track.
I think it's 4.
But hello, here we are.
Yes. Hello. So if you've been tuning in for the last few episodes, for the last 3 episodes, we've been taking you through our journey getting on the road to do the Great Unknown Tour, where we're going to travel across America for a year with our 2 toddlers, recording interviews with people, and we're going to talk about how to navigate faith in uncertain times. So we're going to have conversations with people who are embracing their adventure with God in efforts to create a roadmap for all of us, people like you, who are like, man, what is this? Like, I feel like God is asking me to do this thing, but it's hard, it's scary. I don't know where to start. I don't know, what I'm going to get into when we get into it. And I think a lot of people don't step out on faith because it's so unknown. You're like, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And so our goal is to have these conversations with other people to demystify like the practical stuff, the feelings, the obstacles when you're stepping out on faith, as what I would say is a regular person. I think everybody's regular, but I just think a lot of times we hear from pastors, hear from like Christian celebrities, and it just is like, you kind of made it already. Not made it, right? We don't ever make it, but like you're on this elevated level. Yeah. And so like following God is expected of you, and a lot of times you got the resources and the people to help you.
Yeah, you hear about it after the fact. So
yeah.
It's, in hindsight, this is what happened, rather than you're in it.
Right. And so we've been taking you through our journey of getting on the road and even walking through eviction and like being in debt, $18,000 with our apartment, and and figuring that out before we move on to the next journey. Just a lot of this has all happened at the same time. I got fired almost a year ago, and that set us off on this journey where we are today. And so we've been dealing with eviction notices, bills, stuff getting cut off. Our phones are still cut off right now. And so we've just been trusting God through this process and saying yes to this tour, and, yes to however He wants to remedy these things before we go, if He decides to. But either way, we're doing it. So last time we talked about, what did we talk about last time?
I think it was, it's been a minute, but I think it was, I just remember the court story and the like, is it unemployment? Was it unemployment?
We talked through unemployment, like that story of accessing some of it. Actually, this would be news to you. We can cut it out if you want me to cut it out. But I just found out because I called.
Me?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. Last time we talked about getting unemployment, and it, like, we didn't get all of it, but we were like, it was coming in like these little increments. And so we applied for unemployment last December, and we have been waiting for it since then. Right now it's October. And we started to get some of it, but it wasn't all of it based on my calculations. So I called, and they're like, basically, you're not getting any more. Like, that was your max benefit, and it only covered up to 6 months. And I was like, it was only 6 months worth of money. And they were like, yeah, you either get whatever your maximum amount was, or till you get your benefits until the end of the calendar year. Right? So either you get this amount of money or money to the end of the year, whichever comes first. And I was like,
so was it the
what?
max amount of money or the end of the calendar year?
It was the max amount of money. Oh. But the max amount of money, based on the records, was only 6 months amount of unemployment.
Gotcha.
Which I guess makes sense in terms of looking for a job, right? 6 months can be a long time, but it's still like, that's crazy. Like, dang.
Okay.
So I felt a little defeated and discouraged, actually. I was pretty sad and salty. Like, okay. Because we have budgeted, right? We wrote out a budget for the money, so we were chipping stuff off. So we're going to get it all, so let's just chip away at what we have. And then to learn, like, okay, we don't got all that we budgeted for. It's like, dang. But Holy Spirit reminded me, like, yo, it's not, these resources aren't the source. Like, yes, you had planned for that, but I told you to put that stuff on the list that you need to buy. This is just a conduit of it. So I was like, dang. But I just felt like we're so far in, it's like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we talked about unemployment. Okay. We talked about unemployment last time. So we were talking about court, and I went to court. Did we talk about I went to court? I went to court last time, and so I went to court again.
I don't think we talked about the second time. But
No, we didn't talk about the second time. I went to court again. I went to court again.
Yes, you did.
For eviction tenant court, and it's
Oh, it's different than the first?
Yeah, no, it's the same. It's the same. It's the same. Basically, what happens if you've never been through this is you don't pay your rent, then your apartment complex says, like, hey, we're going to...
It's funny that there's people that don't know about it.
I didn't know. I'm super middle class. I'm definitely middle class, for sure. I don't know. I don't think my friends know either. Gotcha. I think there's a lot of people I know that don't know this and have never been through it. Because when they were talking, when we started getting the letters, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to get evicted tomorrow. But it's like a process. It still could be quick, but it's not as quick as I thought it was. I thought it was like, you're out, but it's a lot of steps. So if you've never been through this, they send you
a letter every week.
But they send you a letter asking you to pay, but furthermore, they say after a while, they say that they're going to file something with the court so that you'll have to go to court, and then they render the verdict. And if they render the verdict against you, then that means that they have license then to call the sheriff to repossess the property. So these are a few different steps it takes some time. And so because of course we're backed up for COVID, because of COVID, we had a lot of time to like try to make moves. And so I've been doing freelance stuff. I applied for jobs, didn't get them. Just been doing different things to earn income, but didn't get there where we needed to pay these things off. And so we started getting these letters. And so we went to court. September, then went to court this month again. So the thing is, if you go 3 times and they render against you, meaning like for the apartment complex, the 3rd time you can't even pay any money to like keep your staying at the apartment. You automatically get evicted. And so this is going to be the 2nd time. And so the first time, if you got stamped in favor of the apartment complex, they sent you to, they sent you to, if they stamped you in favor of the apartment complex, they sent you to,
Hilarious.
I know, they sent you to the rent relief. They sent you to the rent relief. Hold on, I'm just gonna say this. So I just realized we weren't recording on our recorder and our recording app, but thank God for our backups, because we have a backup that's recording. Now, if that didn't work, we might have to record that again, but let's keep going. So if you got stamped in favor of the apartment complex, what they did last time was send you to the rent relief office and at the courthouse. Well, not office. They had like a makeshift room. And so they scan your stuff into the system and you get expedited to talk to a caseworker. Last time we filmed, we hadn't had a caseworker yet. And upon even going the 2nd time, did we have a caseworker? Yes, we had just got a caseworker.
For the rent relief?
Yeah, for the rent relief. We had just got a caseworker. So, but nothing had happened yet. So, so I went to court again, and the heat's on. The pressure's on, because it's like, man, oh gosh, what's about to happen? Like, what are you thinking at this point? Like,
When you went the 2nd time?
Me going to court again. We had started talking to the caseworker, but nothing had happened yet. Like, what?
Honestly, it's a blur. Like, I think the first time was a bigger deal and more on my mind, especially that the day of and the week prior. But the 2nd time, I was just like, you gotta go, so go. You know where you going. I'm not going with you. And I don't even remember what I did that day with the kids.
It felt kind of the same to me.
Formality, go do the
sure.
thing. I don't even remember if I was like, God's gonna come through, so it doesn't matter, or I mean, I think seeing how things kept playing out, like, it would look bad, but whenever we would pray or talk about it or remember what he told us, like, it was kind of like so what? We're just going to go to court and do this. It was like a regular day at the office kind of a thing.
Yes.
Kind of a feeling for me, because I wasn't the one going, but...
Yes.
Just something that you go through when, you're walking by faith, but your circumstances around it don't look like what you're believing for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I went, I felt like a regular day. I was actually late. Like the last time I was late because when I got there, I was like, like figuring out where to go and all this stuff. Yeah. This time I was just late. So yeah, I was definitely more laid back going in, And I thought I had missed. Actually, I thought I had missed my
Your
name.
name?
Yeah.
You said you were falling asleep.
Oh, for
Or
sure.
were you like reading something?
No, I was for sure falling asleep. I was tired. I was tired. But why? I mean, because we've been packing. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put some video in here, some
Don't
footage
do
in
that.
here.
That's a mess.
We're packing. We're getting ready to leave the apartment.
Hot mess.
Into the RV. We don't have the RV yet, but we are preparing. We're being prepared. So when it comes, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Just tired. I was tired. So I was falling asleep. But that's not why I thought I missed my name. Because you're going to hear it. Like, they say your name. They say it loud. Well, it's speakers in there. Because there's like orders. There's numbers on your, like, sheet of, the court order thing. And case number. And they go in order of, like, 591, 592, 593. And they got to, like, I was in, like, the 80s. It was, like, let's say, like, 581. And then it just went to, like, 892. And I was like, yo, what happened? And then they kept going to other numbers, like 600, 700, 400, 300. And I'm like, yo, did I miss it? Like, it didn't matter because it does matter because I wouldn't have got the stamp, which I could show to my caseworker, our caseworker, and then I would have just wasted time sitting there the whole time, and they already called it.
It sounds like the DMV. Have you ever had to wait at the DMV?
A little bit. In LA, you can make appointments, though. I think I made an appointment last time I went in LA. But I lived around the corner from the DMV when we lived in LA. Before we got married, I lived, like, literally around the corner.
Okay.
What? In Ohio, no, there's no waiting at there's no
Different experiences. Oh my gosh, Ohio,
Yeah,
DMV.
there's no waiting.
Please.
There's no waiting.
Please. It's the size of the living room, and there's like
Right.
3 ladies that are like your grandma working there.
Right.
Hey, baby, come on over here. I'll help you out.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I did.
So simple.
I did wait in Inglewood. I remember waiting outside. But I feel like I had an appointment. I did wait in Inglewood one time.
LA DMV is terrible.
I was gonna say, but I only
100 people in there. You gotta have a ticket, and you'll get called, and they're like, "Come back with this. Come back with this. Come back with this." And you're like, "I just waited an hour for you to tell me to come back for, Anyway.
Gotcha. Which one were you going to?
Probably Culver City.
Oh.
I'm not going to Inglewood.
I mean, I lived in Inglewood, though.
It's just too many. It was even more people.
Oh. All right. I really think I had an appointment. Anyways. And so I thought I missed my name.
Right.
I was salty. But there's 2 lawyers there. And I didn't see that. And so the other lawyer, which was the lawyer handling the case from our apartment complex, got up, and I said, "Oh, okay,
you recognized him?
Yeah, he's a bald white dude, glasses, probably like 6'2". Yep.
Okay.
I could recognize him out. He he got up, and I was like, "Oh, well, maybe he has like my name." So he did, but it was longer because I was in the first group. The first time I was like within the first, I would say 50 people called out of like 500. This time, no, I was like part of the second half of 500. So while I was waiting, funny story, little brief interlude. There's all types of people there, all types of cultures, races, and ages. This older woman, Latin. She spoke Spanish. She had an interpreter, and something happened with her case. And the judge was nice. Like I said the last time, she was a very kind woman, and she said, like, you don't have to. The woman asked, like, when do I come back? through the interpreter. The interpreter was like, the judge was like, you don't have to come back, you're done. And so her and the interpreter, the woman and the interpreter going back and forth. She was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And the judge was like, you don't have to come back. And then they just doing this like, huh, what? And the woman just couldn't believe it. She's like, what? What? And like, once it really registered, she she was like, she either did like this or like what? Like put her hands up. She did the sign of the cross, like the Catholic sign of the cross, and was like, she was like, and then she was walking back to her seat, like, yes, 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 like little, Latin lady. And it brought us all joy. Everybody started clapping for her because I guess everybody knows that feeling of like having to come back, or it seemed like maybe something happened with the debt and like maybe it was erased, and I don't know, like, it's
So everyone was like clapping for her.
yeah, everyone's clapping for her. I was gonna say it's like not humbling. It's humbling and it's comforting being there with all those people because they're all regular people going through this, and us going through this has felt, isolating because like it feels like no one else is going through it. And then you go there and it's like, nah, man, a lot of people are going through this. Like you're not alone. And so that was a good reminder for me. Yeah, and so went to court again, got the stamp. I went to the rent. Now last time I was like maybe the fifth person in line to go and to talk to the rent relief ladies. This time it was like 30 people, and it took like 15 minutes per person last time. No. I was like second. No, I was third in line last time. It took like 15 minutes per person, so it was like 30 people. I'm like, bruh, I'm about to be here way past dinner time. So I just popped in like, hey, I saw you last time. Do we have to do you need to put our stuff in again? Or, whatever. I said I have a caseworker.
I'm glad you did that.
She was like, no, don't worry about it. You can go. So I left, went home, came home. And, yeah, just like, don't know what's next. But, God, our caseworker, shortly after, started,
Emailing you?
yeah, like I reached out to her and I said, hey, no, I got an automated email. Like, hey, this is your caseworker, blah, 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 blah. And I sent an email like that day, like, hey, Marisha and Antoine Edmonson, you're our caseworker. We just want to reach out, make the connection, blah, blah, blah. And she said, thank you for reaching. She got back quick. She said, thank you for reaching out. This is who I am. Thank you for reaching out. I usually have to chase people. Blah, blah, blah. I'll be in touch. And so that was great. And then she was like, okay. She started sending me stuff like, hey, you need to do this. So there's a rent relief application. It was a very long application. It took a long time. It took a couple hours to do. And she sent me that whole application. And I was like, do I have to do it again, or should I tell her that I already have it and I have my like confirmation number? So I was like, I actually did all this already. Would it help if I gave you the confirmation number? Because this is a lot. It's a lot to do. It's like a rush. We're trying to get it done so they can pay the stuff off so we can stop going to court and not be evicted. And so she said,
and move out, because
yes.
you can't. If we moved out before, we wouldn't get the rent relief.
Yes, thank you. Yes, key fact.
It's like every month we're like, move out now, move out now, move out now.
Yes, so we are planning to do this tour, as you know, but we wanted to leave without debt, right? We didn't want to leave and have all this debt over our head, so we
At
want
least
to
try.
do our best to pay it off. But when we applied for rent relief, I found out that if you leave, the apartment before you get the rent relief, before you get the verdict, you don't get the rent relief. So let's say you owe $20,000, $5,000, and you get the rent relief, but you move, you don't get any of the money. So then that money goes on your record. And so we're like, okay, we just got to sit it out and see when we get the verdict. And so it was just a lot of stuff to do when you feel like the clock is ticking. And so she wrote back.
We didn't have to wait, but we felt we should wait.
We didn't have to wait on what?
The rent relief, to see if the rent relief came through. And we really didn't have any other options.
Right. But I mean, I think that's a super wise decision to not leave, you know, not knowing if you're going to get it or not. And so she wrote back like, no, you know, just fill out these 2 forms, fill out this form and these forms, and then we're going back and forth, and it just feels like, man, another form and another form and another form and another form. And then she's like, oh, you got to, like, send me this form. And I'm like, okay, I got to go find this form. And then she's like, oh, you should separate the rent relief application from utility assistance. Like, do this application. So then I'm up 3 o'clock in the morning doing the utility assistance and getting everybody, the whole family, social security numbers, and getting these documents and getting that document and then this document and this document. All while packing, doing this podcast, generating income, you know, parenting, all that stuff. So it's just a lot. And then she's like almost at, so I get to a point and I'm like, hey, we did all this. Like, what's next? And she was basically like, hold up, bruh. Hold up. There's people who are actually getting evicted and I'm going to put them ahead of you. And I'm like, what? People who are getting evicted? I went to court. They put the stamp on the paper. They going to call the sheriff any day and come get us. And she was like, did you get the red notice? And I was like, the red notice? And I hit up the leasing manager or landlord apartment manager, and he said they hadn't scheduled the eviction yet. And she was like, yeah, chill. I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was like another step. I just thought it was a foregone conclusion. So he was like, no, we haven't scheduled it yet. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so we're waiting. And then she's like, okay, we're ready to give a verdict. But we need your 2020 tax return.
She said use a different one, right?
Yeah. She was like, we think we can get you more money if you use that tax return. Because we earned like a fourth of what we earned in 2021 and 2020. And so she was like, use that one. And I was like, okay. Well, after like, why should we do this? Why blah, 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 blah. We just said okay and did it. And sent it in. Gave it to her. Just waited because she had to take care of the other people that were about to get evicted. So shout out to her. Shout out to you for that, because who knows how many other people were emailing her that she had to email. Mm-hmm. You know, 500 cases. I go to court, there's 500 cases. Like, how many people are emailing her? Who's she emailing? Like, that's incredible. I really appreciate the way that she was. I'm going to say her name, Rashida. I really appreciate, well, there's a lot of Rashidas in the world. I really appreciate how she was. I mean, there's a fair amount of Rashidas.
Okay.
Probably out 10,000 in America, maybe.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Mr. Technical.
Probably 50,000.
There's enough.
Yes. Anyways, I really appreciated how she was just quick to get back to us and how hard I felt like she was working hard for us and actually trying to help. So shout out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just said something about the landlord. I want to talk about that too. The landlord.
Go ahead.
Do you want to say something?
No. I'm listening.
Okay.
Some of this stuff I'm hearing for the first time. Some of it I'm just letting you recap.
Oh, so
Like update. It's
the
fine.
the landlord, the landlord.
I wasn't dealing with this stuff. I mean, emotionally, yes, and like supporting Antoine and doing things and making decisions, yes, but I wasn't filling out any forms, going to talk to anybody, didn't go to court, never talked to our building landlord. So,
So, yeah, we have. So speaking about him, I think he's the apartment manager, but he's a head guy over the complex, and I've been in contact with him ever since they started sending eviction stuff, just to check in with him and to like let him know like we're just not a name on a paper, like we're people. I wanted him to see me, see us, talk to
yeah,
us, and know that like you're dealing with people.
smart.
So as they keep moving forward, it wasn't just like these are people who never reach out or we don't hear from. They just don't pay rent. So I've been keeping up with him, keeping tabs, talking to him, and so he actually gave us the link for the rent relief. Like he gave that to us. He gave me lots of resources to reach out to. Granted, on one end, of course, because that gets them their money, but I feel like he could have been way more mean this whole time. Like he hasn't been nasty. I feel like he's been kind. I feel like God has given us favor with him in that regard. Like I felt like if he wanted things to go differently, they could have went differently.
Yeah.
Because he could have called the sheriff. You know what I mean? A long time ago, and didn't. To schedule the eviction, and didn't. Yeah, man. So I just want to say that, like, in these situations where you feel like you're called to trust God, we feel like we're called to trust God. One of the hard things is usually like, one of the hard things is you think about all that can go wrong, right? Right? Stuff like we're going through, eviction, job loss, all these things. But then you can never calculate all the stuff that's going to go right, all the different ways God is going to show you favor and show up. And while it's subtle, kind of like in the background of this story, I feel like God is definitely using him, to really help us out. Yeah. So that's been an unexpected blessing. Because again, he could have been a nasty person. I've heard horror stories about apartment complex managers. And so we're going through the day to day, thinking like when are they going to, tell us the verdict about the rent relief? And we felt like I felt like just spiritually like we had a good chance to get it. Like I felt like we have a good chance to get it, but I almost didn't apply, which is crazy. I almost didn't apply because it's called like the COVID-19 rent relief fund, and I felt like we didn't have this like devastating COVID-19 job story that would warrant us like receiving rent relief from the state. But we felt like God was leading us to do it, so we did it. Even like the application went live. It was live for like a month, and I got a reminder. That was yes. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then, you know, in this situation, a lot of times we may have to go find resources like food or different stuff, or just a lot of stuff will come up suddenly that we need to take care of, and stuff gets put on the back burner. And this application was one of them. And I remember getting an email like, reminder, you got a week left to put it in. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. And then I didn't do that. And I remember we were on our group call, our small group call, and I remember like, oh shoot, I need to do this application. It's due tonight. And I did it.
Oh
I
my gosh.
I turned it in. I think you were on the call. I turned it in. It was like 2 minutes before midnight that I turned it in. Like 2 minutes before, yes, it was like 2 minutes before midnight. I think I've checked out the application when I first saw it, and it had so much stuff on there that I was just like, I got to do this later. It has so many documents. Yeah, so I got it in like 2 minutes before.
I'm glad.
Yes, and I'm glad. I'm glad that we got it in because we just found out we got rent relief. What?
You had like a pause, like it was gonna be like a big reveal.
Well, we could. I mean, I could be more excited about it, like vocally, but like the kids are asleep.
That's true.
So like I can't like make noise. I mean, yeah.
Well, I'll put that video in at the end of this podcast of him being excited and like dancing and shouting.
It might be playing right now.
About getting it. Like we were all excited. The kids didn't even know what was happening, but they were excited because we were excited. I was like, let's go right now. Let's go all together to go get it and do it.
Yeah, they sent an email. So I was actually in an unemployment like webinar. It was like 3 hours. I was like, oh my gosh.
That really sucks that you had to do those long things and nothing else was coming in.
Right. Nothing else is coming in. Right.
Anyway.
On this webinar and I think it was almost the end, and I just checked my email, and the landlord, so the apartment complex manager, he's been keeping me abreast of things that's been going on, and he was like, yo, your caseworker, a couple of weeks ago, he's like, the caseworker reached out to me, they asked me this information, I just want to let you know, because that's a good sign if they reach out to the caseworker, they're moving farther along. And so he emailed me like, yo, did you see this?
Landlord.
Yeah, if the caseworker's reaching out to the apartment manager. And so that day he emailed me like, did you see this? And I was like, and then right under I saw that, and then I saw his email. Then right under that, it was a caseworker email. So I was like, let me check that, because that's probably what he's talking about. And yeah, it was like, very, black and white email. Like, you are receiving the rent relief for the amount of, man, I wish I could make noise, $18,000 with a full debt that we owe.
It's a lot of information.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, we can cut it out.
Just said the full debt. I don't know. That's me. That's me. Some things are like TMI, but that is you. You are TMI.
Well, I think it should be shared because I want people to know what God can do.
Yeah, but I don't think it matters. It does matter the amount. The full amount is, I guess, the important part. The full amount for the past almost year.
10 months, yeah.
Rather like it could, if we were living in Ohio and had a different rent amount, the fact that they paid the full amount would still be huge.
Got it. Yeah.
But it is a lot. It is a large amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think it. I mean, some people might be like, $18,000. Oh my gosh. Some people might be like, that's it.
That's my rent for 2 months. Whatever. No, that's a good point. Thank you, babe. Yeah, you're right.
And also, I think for me, it's just my personal information.
Got it. Well, I think, yeah. I mean, I think for me it'd be different if we were planning on living here, but we're not. So, I think to me, anyways, we can move on. Yeah, the full amount.
You want to push the button,
Yeah,
or is
yes.
that not
Yes, I do.
appropriate?
I definitely want to like that would be like right now. I would push that like 5 times. Like flex bomb.
Is it called Flex Bomb?
Yeah, cuz Funkmaster Flex is the one
Oh,
who does it.
gotcha.
So drop a flex bomb.
Okay.
That's how it. Yeah, if we had a production team, we would have it like. Anyways, I would do it in post, but we got other stuff to do. But we got the full amount, which is a
Yes.
huge hallelujah,
Huge.
a huge hallelujah.
Yeah.
And even thinking about that is like I felt when we got it, I was excited, and then I felt weird because I'm like, I want to celebrate, but I've already celebrated this. I've celebrated this for the past few months. I've already celebrated that we're going that
Being
this
debt
moment,
free.
yeah, that this moment would come. Like I celebrated this moment, so it feels weird to celebrate it again. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that's incredible. Well, shout out to all the different pastors and sermons I've heard about celebrating what God has told you that He's doing ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To be prepared, because it just, yeah. Like I wasn't surprised. I was relieved, like finally, but I wasn't surprised because we had been.
Believing God for it.
Yeah.
I had it on the church that we go to now. They did like a month of prayer, and
Yeah, 21 days.
the prayer card, one of the prayer cards, I put that on there.
You're smart, man.
What?
I just like wrote on the prayer cards and like turn them in. I be forgetting to like write down or take a picture of what I put on there. I gotta get better at that. Because I was just like, yeah, it's gonna happen, but I can't even tell you what I put on there. Right? So like for the verification
Yes.
of like God coming
You
through,
did
like
it, yeah. I
I
like
hope I
to
took a
see.
picture of it. I hope I took a picture. I think I did. I hope I did. Yeah, remind me of that, please. Because I just be writing and just turn it in.
You need like a mixture, because you write turn it in, and I didn't turn it in. That's why I still have it and
Oh,
remembered
gotcha.
that I put that on the card.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Maybe like just take 2 and like, copy it. But I don't know. What was I saying? Oh, how we felt about it.
We're excited and happy.
Yeah. And I was just more relieved. And so that was a surreal feeling of like really exercising our faith and then it happening. It's almost like another day, just like a regular day because we like, yeah, this was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? And so what was I going to say? And so then I told you about it. We rejoiced. You said, let's go. I thought that was cool. That you're like, let's go get it now. Oh, in the email, they said, like, you can come pick up the check today. And I was like, yeah. Well, you said, let's go get it. I was like, oh, okay, let's go get it now. So we got everybody, got ready, went. Where did we go? Yeah, we went down to the
Downtown.
government building to get it. And that was interesting because I thought we were just going to go in and it was like, like a person, a lady, hey, it's just.
Why has it gotta be a lady?
Yeah, I thought about that as I said it. But honestly, if I'm honest, in my head it was gonna be a woman. You just usually don't see
Male
men
clerks.
doing that. Not clerk. Like you usually don't see a lot of men on the front line helping people in that way at the social services buildings.
Oh.
I don't. Every person our caseworker has been a woman. The judge was a woman. The rent relief woman was a woman. At that building was a woman who helped us. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the lady, the person who led the unemployment workshop was a woman. So, yeah.
So you went in the building. Were you
Went,
gonna tell that story? You were
yeah.
saying like
Well, I just
something
thought
you
we.
didn't
I thought.
expect.
Well, I thought we were gonna go get the check, but we went in and
I
it
don't
was.
even know what you did.
Oh, well, we went in. Montana and I went inside. Montana wanted to come, and we went in. And I thought, you just go up and tell them like, "Yo, I'm here for the check." And it's like, nah, it's like 19 different windows you can go to for all these different things. And there wasn't a lot of people there, maybe like 20, but they had like a sign up digital like computer, like put your name in and you're gonna be on a list. And so it was separated, I think, by like what you came there for. So we were like on window 8, number 3 on window 8, but there's like 20 people there. So it's taking a little bit of time, as you might have experienced in a car. And I thought it was interesting because Montana was getting really restless. Montana's our 5-year-old. She was getting really, really restless, and she started. So there was like a mural on top of the room, like going all the way around of just different scenes. And so I started asking her about it, like, "Hey, do you see this or do you see that?" And she was like, "Daddy, why did?" I said, "Somebody painted that." And she was like, "Why did they do that? You're not supposed to paint on the walls." I said, "Actually, you can paint on the walls if you get permission first, Montana. Not like you do. Like if like people will pay you to paint on the walls. They will beg you to paint on the walls if you ask them, if you have a conversation before you do that." I just thought it was cool, the different stuff that she was pointing out, and like her learning to be patient, because she was like, "Daddy, I'm ready to go." But it was just cool just sitting with her in that moment and pointing out the stuff on the ceiling, and she her saying hi to people or asking me certain questions like, "Why is this?" or "What are we doing here? Why are we here? What are we getting?" That was just kind of cool to see it from her eyes.
Yeah.
And so we got the check, and I was like, we go to a lady. She's like, "Who are you?" Blah blah blah. Telling her, she's like, "Give me your ID." And I go to give her my ID, and I'm like, "Oh snaps! I don't have the state ID. Like I don't have a Maryland ID. I have an Ohio ID." And I was like, I hope that they don't need to verify the address and all this stuff, but that they just need to see that I'm who I say I am, versus
Right.
like they need everything to line up. Because some of this stuff, like when you call unemployment, you need to say your whole name, middle initial, birth date, address. You need to say like so much information. You know what I mean? And so,
We don't know. Is that a neighbor or adventure?
sound like a Montana. Hopefully it's a neighbor.
Okay.
But yeah, if I lost my train of thought.
You were hoping you just had your
No,
ID and it
yes,
wasn't a Maryland
yes,
ID.
yes. And I was like, man, I hope we can do it. And then, because there's not a lot of talking. Like she just took my ID and then like left. And I'm just like, you're just like, I don't know. What's she going to do? What am I, like, what do we, she's like, go back and sit down. And you're like, oh my gosh, is it? Like, what's going to happen? And then she's gone for a long time. All you need is my ID. Go get a check, bring it back. It was like 10 minutes. It's just like, oh my gosh. Are we not going to get it? Like, we made it all this way. Another obstacle, Lord. Lord.
That's true. I could see how you could feel that way.
Well, we just faced so many obstacles. So it's just like, is this not it?
Adventure and I were chilling in the car.
And so
He was asleep, and I was chilling.
And so she came back, though, with the check. And then she was like, if you own businesses, you already know that the business that people know is usually not what the business name is. Like Sprite. Sprite is owned by Coca-Cola. So it would be like Sprite, a registered trademark of Coca-Cola brands, right? So the check's going to say Coca-Cola. So the apartment complex has a different like LLC name than the name of the apartment complex where we live. And so she was like, is this the right, you know, name? I'm like, how should I don't know. I don't know what they put on their checks. Like, my caseworker talked to the apartment manager, but they didn't talk to me about this information. I don't know who did make the check. She was, and so I'm like, dang, are we not gonna get it again? Because I don't know who they're supposed to make the check out to. And she was like, I'm just telling you, just just in case, because they'll avoid it or not. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. I didn't talk, I didn't make them phone calls. So, but we got the check. Got the check. Got the check. We did. We got the check.
We did get it.
We got the check. Went back to the Carver, Montana. Everybody's excited. Then we take it to the office. It was a good feeling. It was a good feeling because I usually go there by myself, and we like went all there together. And the last few times, the guy hasn't been there, and so it was cool. Like, I was talking to them at the front desk. He's like the big guy, so like when you go to the front desk, they try to be like, "What do you want?" Da 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 da. And then he calls from the back, like, "Hey, like, let him back here," And so he let me back there, and you got to meet him for the first time, and he saw the kids. So I just thought that was a cool moment, like, there's a check, bro. Thank you for all your help. It just felt, I feel like it was I don't know, we crossed the threshold, like a spiritual threshold. I don't know what one, but it just felt like the end of a season. You know what I mean? Like, the end of a season. So
A victory.
yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Huge, for sure.
So that's the update. We got the rent relief. We also receive utility assistance. Now, I don't know what they're going to help with in the email. They just said we're going to pay the service provider. So I've just been checking our service providers to see if they're going to, when they pay it, they haven't paid it yet, but it is what it is. We already know. We've been in this for the past almost year. It is what it is by now. It is what it is. So yeah, well, I mean, so what's next? Where we at? What's up? What's going on?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I will say after.
Just going along for the ride here. Just kidding.
Well, after we got
Just kidding.
the rent relief, I was like, what do we do now? Like, what do we do now? Like, it just felt like a huge weight was lifted. It was like, well, what do we do? Like, I knew we had all this stuff to do, but it just was like, you made it up a mountain. Like, and I've learned to celebrate. So, you and I had a little celebration.
We did.
We had a little celebration. That's a pro tip. If you're ever on a long journey or you're doing something that requires you to keep doing it all the time, like marriage, kids, your job, like, celebrate the wins because it'll keep you going, because there's always going to be more work to do. There's always going to be more faith moments to have, like when we get done and start on the trip, which was like a huge faith thing. We'll probably need faith for, like, I don't know,
I mean, we still don't
podcast guest or
have.
something.
We still don't have the RV.
Right. I'm just saying.
We're still waiting for the RV.
I'm still saying, like, past this moment.
Oh, yeah.
In the future. But yeah, make sure you celebrate the wins. A lot of people don't celebrate the wins. They want other people to celebrate it or wait for a proper time to celebrate. But just celebrate your wins, even if it's, buying your favorite snacks and eating it and saying to yourself and God, like, this, I'm celebrating this thing. Or, you go out with your friends and do something simple. It doesn't have to be an extravagant party, or it can be, but just celebrate. Please celebrate.
Celebrate your wins. Come on.
Hey. All right, so where are we? What do we need?
We are still in the apartment. I'm glad we still have this table. It might be gone soon because...
For sure. Hopefully it is.
We put it on one of the apps that gets rid of things that people buy things off of. We are packing. I think that's my thing. Like, I've known what's been going on in the, like, with the stuff that Antoine's been talking about. But I haven't been, like, hands-on with it. Packing has been my hands-on thing that I've done and thought about every day. So it's getting a little nutty right now, because getting to the stage where we're in the stage where everything's going to be packed, and you're going to have to just live out your little suitcase or little bag for, you know, a few days until we're just gone. But yeah, packing, selling things, designing shirts and sweatshirts to sell. What else? We're about to contact you if you are the couple that we are looking to interview.
We're about to send out, messages to people to ask us to, ask them to let us interview them.
Yeah, just really map it out. Like, even though we don't, it's like, I feel like we're planning backwards. I'm a planner, so I want to do something, and I feel to do something, even though it's not all there. Like, all the pieces aren't there yet. It's like, so what? Just plan. Because if we get the piece, if we get the RV, then we still have to take time.
When we get the RV,
we still have to take time to, like, plan out the trip more specifically, because we've already done, like, a general. So we're going to, like, real specifically map it out.
Yeah. It's mapped out.
People,
we
places.
We need to remap it out.
Yeah.
For the time that has
passed. So we did a general, but we need a more specific one.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
About mapping it out?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. It seems fun.
I'm glad that you enjoy it. I'm glad that you enjoy it. I'm excited to finish designing the PDF to send to people. I'm excited about that, for people to see it and experience it, and to send, get their feedback and hear the yeses, and hopefully people's excitement about the podcast.
I mean, most of them, if not all of them, we know and are friends, so it'll be good just to see them anyway, even if they're like, we don't want to be interviewed. But I can't really imagine that.
Right.
But I'm excited to see friends and family and do some really fun stuff with the kids, with each other.
Yeah. I'm so excited to do these things with the kids, and I guess we won't really know how it shapes them until later, but they like this. They like being outside. They like trying new things. I'm interested to see all the different types of random adventures we'll fall into, following God and having Him with us.
Yes.
Because we'll do just different stuff based on them being there.
Yeah.
Like their first time, we'll be interested in, like, it's going to be their first time doing this or doing that. So, packing, getting stuff out the apartment, logistics for the tour, locking down. We're fundraising. We're fundraising for the apartment. For the RV. and for the tour, like, to, operate the tour, to drive around to these different places. It takes gas. We'll need to buy food, money for the RV parks, money for the RV, like we said. So we're still raising money and looking for those things. So if you are out there, not if you're out there because you're watching this, so you're out there or you're listening to this, go to our website. It's in the show notes. If you're listening to this and if you're watching this, it's in the description on YouTube. Go to our website, tgutour.com, and look at what kind of RV we're looking for and the different equipment that we need to buy. And if you feel led to, think about committing to a monthly donation to us and or buying a piece of equipment, or send it to your small group or to your friends.
Yeah.
And if you know somebody with an RV that meets our specs or that's around that place, please connect us, reach out. We are entertaining all possibilities. We're going to be reaching out to sponsors. We're applying for a grant. So we, by any means necessary, we are getting this RV and starting the tour. And so we are going to be out of this apartment soon, like very, very soon. And it's time for us to step into the RV. So we need your help. Can't do this alone. That's how the body of Christ works. We need each other. So let's connect. Let's make this thing happen. God has some stuff that he wants to do. You got anything?
Nope.
That's it?
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been a blessing and a pleasure to share our life with y'all so far, and to share this story of how God has been doing cool stuff and how he's leading us. And hopefully this is giving you confidence about where God has you right now.
Yeah.
I want you had something to say about purpose for the season versus purpose over life, like spanning over your life.
We can save it for next time.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I thought it was good. Okay.
Maybe it was for you. Just kidding.
That was a good reminder. I knew that, but it was a good reminder. All right. Well, yeah, hopefully this is giving you confidence for what God is asking you to do. So stay tuned. Share these episodes with other people. Thank you for supporting us and praying for us. That was another thing I didn't say. There's so many people praying for us for the rent relief and praying for the RV and the whole tour in general.
Thank you.
And so thank you for everybody praying, because we felt the prayers, and it was so good celebrating that win with people. Like it was it was a cool feeling of like, man, I got a text like 6 or 7 people about, the rent relief thing, you know, so it felt like almost like a nuisance of like, man, I got to text all these people. But then it was such a blessing, I had to reframe that as such a blessing, because it's like, man, all these people were praying for us on our team. Like, praise the Lord. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that leads me to talk about, too, if you want to be a part of our group of people who are praying for various things that God has put on our heart to pray for this tour. Also reach out to us in the comments or hit our email, which is in the description, or you can fill out the contact card on our website, because we need people praying for the tour, covering the tour. And so until next time, we work to put out these episodes every 2 weeks, but we got kids and we're working on leaving this apartment, so this is taking a little bit longer, so thank you for your patience. But until next time, remember to embrace your adventure with God and trust him when navigating uncertain times.
Yes. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Y'all be safe. That felt like so cliche. Y'all be safe.
Yeah. I was going to talk to you about that after.
Will y'all be safe?
Yes.
Don't be safe. I mean,
What?
Be safe. Do safe stuff, but don't listen to that cliche. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.